Ready, set, go.
Hello. Welcome to another album reaction. I'm realizing that I might need to, introduce myself. Hello, I'm tall, lanky guy. You can call me Connor. I don't usually do that because my name is, right down at the bottom of the thing, or at least the channel name. So, there are ways to know who I am. It's just sometimes I'll watch other people do these and they introduce themselves every time. So, yeah, if you're new here, hello. That's me. Today we are listening to a little bit of we're doing some electronic music, or at least this artist has been doing electronic music up until this point. I don't know if they've made a massive lane change since, but today we are listening to the new album Smile! !D by Porter Robinson. Porter Robinson is an artist that I have a lot of respect for. I was a really big fan of his album Nurture. Really solid stuff. And when I found out that he had released a new album earlier this summer, I was very thrilled to get into it. And now that I'm back in town after the Fringe Festival and I've listened to the surprise 3 extra Hosier songs, I can finally get to work on Smile. We got 10 tracks, 40 minutes total, pretty standard length. Not a whole lot of details about the album for the most part, save for the fact Porter tweeted saying, "The album that I was trying to write with this non-stop party, no sincerity, all fun, an album that revels in absurdity for a world that rejects context. And that was the plan. Until I accidentally started confessing how I was really feeling, and you'll hear the rest. My most fun and maybe my most heartbreaking album. I think it's my most interesting work, and I'm dying for you to hear it." I am also dying to hear it. So I'm curious to see what it means for an album to be both his most fun and his most heartbreaking. Very curious to see what that looks and sounds like. And without further frickin' ado, let's just get into the album. Let's just jump right into it. With Knock Yourself Out XD. Laughing emoji if you're not familiar. It's time to knock ourselves out. That's a good title for an opening track. I am ready to knock myself out with this album. Let's get started. Okay, beep boops. I was looking forward to some beep boops. Oh yeah. Okay. Oh, did you? Alright. Nice. One thing that has been interesting to kind of keep track of with Porter's music, that I was talking to my sibling about, has been a fan of Porter's for longer than I have. He's had this interesting growth or sort of arc where a lot of his vocal parts in his older music, he would put sort of a filter and an effect on it to have it sort of high-pitched, somewhat feminine, to kind of disguise his actual singing voice. And it sounded great. It sounds really cool. But especially through Nurture, he actually started, balancing out between the affected vocals and his natural singing voice, to the point where, at least this was my siblings' take on it, that the affected vocals sort of became this analog for Porter's sort of self-criticism and insecurities. And so the fact that we're hearing Porter's natural singing voice right off the bat here is, I would say, just sort of a sign of that growth and that coming into being comfortable with how his voice sounds. And it's really, really cool to hear. Also, the beep boop melody is like, I don't know how he does it. Porter Robinson just has a knack for picking just the loveliest, like, just good mood kind of melodies with the instruments that he's working with. Knock yourself out. Okay. All right. I see what we're working with here. All right. Don't know my schedule on the 5th. No? Okay. How so? How so? Okay. That's a funny thing that I've found sometimes when songwriting is like kind of twisting words just so that they fit into your meter or into your rhyming scheme. So usually, at least in Canada, I feel like this is generally also the case in most of North America, we don't really pronounce the A in physically sick, right? We say physical, that's fine, we pronounce it there, but physically sick is generally how I pronounce the word. I don't know if, like, do you guys take the time to say physically? I would assume generally not. If you've got a natural accent that causes you to, in this specific case, pronounce the A in physically, let me know. But it's interesting to hear him pronounce it that way, specifically to fit the meter of that particular verse. It's fascinating. Okay. Oh. Okay. All right, we're coming back in. Okay, where are we going from here? Okay. Ooh. I love those. Okay, all right. Okay. All right. I like the yes. Ooh, okay. Starting off with a beep boop and a bang. Love that for us. That was fun. So according to the about section here, the song contrasts Porter's self-image and his fans' image of himself. He wishes that the sometimes exaggerated and idol-like perception from fans would stay to themselves due to it feeling so different from what he perceives himself to be. Disregarding his fans' perceptions fully is difficult as he sees how much his music has done and means for people, and this drives him to continue to make music. Despite feeling the expectations on his image are unrealistic, he still gives into the pressure to deliver, as exaggerated in the absurd flexing that appears on the song in the final verse. Ah, gotcha. Okay, so we're talking about the contrast between sort of the fan-made public image of Porter Robinson and Porter Robinson as he sees himself, and kind of the tension between the two. Very, very interesting. Okay, with that said, let's see if that stacks up. You know, because these about sections are also, you know, written by other people that have their takes, and it's always useful to actually hold their arguments up to snuff. Verse 1. I threw my phone into the sea. Strong start. I consider doing that every now and then. Simple human being. Wouldn't know how to brush my teeth without asking my team, which is a great line. Living in the afterglow of everything you feel, but baby, I'm a short-lived joke. as soulless as I seem. So we're starting off, I suppose, on the less charitable side of how he perceives himself. Kind of sees himself as a bit of a mess, a bit over-reliant on the people around him. Living in the afterglow of everything you feel. I'm assuming the you, like the second person in this, being his fans. So he's sort of living on the coattails of the Porter Robinson that we imagine him as, right? He's just kind of riding that wake, but he feels like he himself is a short-lived joke. Like he's got only so much novelty to him, and beyond that, there's not much else going on. Which, again, I feel like maybe I'm all for being honest that you're maybe a little bit boring than people make you out to be. That's totally fair. I do the exact same thing. Calling yourself soulless outside of your music persona, maybe a bit much. Maybe do yourself a little bit extra favor. You're allowed to be quiet, you're allowed to be introverted, but that doesn't mean you're soulless. And then the chorus is, and I'm everything you talk about. Why should you keep letting yourself be let down? If I'm everything you talk about, I'm in the mirror, baby. Let it all out. Knock yourself out. There's this like alternate version, this other Porter that is made up of the things that we think of him, right? This other like secondary like alter ego that has been constructed around all of the like perceptions and assumptions that we maybe make about him. And he basically is like, why should you keep letting yourself be let down? Like, why do you put together this like glamorous, unrealistic picture of me when the real thing is never going to be that cool? Like, why set yourself up for that disappointment? If I'm everything you talk about, I'm in the mirror, baby. Let it all out. Interesting. Maybe if I'm everything you talk about, maybe that's him just being like, maybe all the things that you want to see, you can just be yourself, right? If you like are looking for a star, like this really cool, fabulous person, you can just be those things. You can just look for those things in yourself, right? Because it's probably just as realistic that you'll find those things in yourself as it is that you'll find them in Porter. And then he says from that point, just knock yourself out, right? Second verse, don't know my schedule on the 5th. Bitch, I'm Taylor Swift. Got 100 million on my wrist, physically sick, crying at the airport. I'm sorry, can I get a pic? Telling me a sad story, another reason not to quit. Very interesting. Okay, so this is more kind of drawing a picture of what Porter imagines his alter ego to be like. He doesn't know what his schedule is. He's basically living like Taylor Swift. He's wearing expensive clothing, feeling a little manic at the airport, and then someone comes up to him, asks for a picture, tells him a sad story that maybe relates to what his music means to them. And that story that they tell him just becomes another reason for him to not quit making music. Even though there is this sort of dissonance between how they see him and how he sees himself, he still acknowledges that he is a significant figure in people's lives because of the art that he's made, and maybe has a not responsibility, but has a motivation to keep making stuff. And then finally in the outro, we've got, I wear a big smile, got a drink in my hand, I got a face tattoo, I'm not a regular man. You gotta hold on, I'll tell you about it again. I got a brand new feeling in the back of my head. I wear a big smile, got a drink in my head. I drive a new Bugatti, not a Mercedes-Benz. You gotta hold on, I'll tell you about it again. I got a brand new feeling in the back of my head. So again, going big, painting this fictional version of himself, according to this annotation, just sort of the poppiest pop radio hit. You know, kind of giving the people what he thinks they want, and ending the song on that note. That's an interesting opener. So we're starting with this sort of dichotomy between the sort of fun pop that he had planned on making, and then we're maybe going to be slipping and tripping into the more honest Porter content. And with that all said, we're going to keep going to the next track, Cheerleader. Are we being our own cheerleader? Are we cheering someone else? Does Porter need a cheerleader? I'll be Porter's cheerleader if the position is open. Oh. Okay. Woo! Okay. Oh boy. Ooh! Oh, that hit. Oh, okay. We're dropping out here. Very nice. Very overproduced guitar there. I like it. Nice. Good harmonies. Okay. Okay. Alright. Okay. Right. Okay. Oh. Ooh. This is like a freaking this is like a pop rock anthem. Like this is like a stadium, like everyone's going freaking nuts in the chorus kind of song. Ooh, this is fun. Such a party song, and then as soon as I start getting into the lyrics, I'm going to start getting sad again. But not for now. For now, we jam. Oh!
Your fault you're living in a madhouse. I can't back down.
A little metronome cowbell.
She's got hearts in her eyes.
All right, what are we doing for the bridge? Okay, dropping out. We got that classic. Oh, we're going acoustic. Interesting. Oh, we're singing in the past tense now. Oh.
The type that makes you dedicate your life for my cheerleader. Thought she needed me, but I need her.
Are we going back into the jam? Ooh, okay. There we go. Ooh, I like that little drop out there. That was good. Damn, oh my god, we're pulling out the hits in this one. That's a strong 1-2 punch right out of the front of the album. Jeez. On first react, this seems to be about like a bit of a fraught romantic relationship, but as I started reading the about section, it seems like that might not be the case. Porter explores parasocial relationships. Hey, let's go. Between fans and musicians. He uses a girl who is obsessed with him romantically as a metaphor For listeners who treat him as more than just an artist they enjoy, idolizing everything he does, despite the fact that they will likely never know each other. We love when an artist or just anyone that makes content in the 21st century, when they acknowledge the parasocial relationship and how it is often dangerous. Let's see if that stacks up here with these lyrics. Let's see how well that angle works here. Verse 1. There's no doubt. I can tell you're acting your heart out, and she's addicted. Obsessed like I know I can fix him. She got hearts in her eyes, and she draws me kissing other guys. Her love the type where she don't know where to draw the line. All right, so far this tracks. He's painting a picture. Painting a picture of someone that is in fact obsessed with Porter. And the fact that this is more about, you know, a musician relationship is kind of in the background, kind of in the subtext so far. She draws me kissing other guys, her love the type where she don't know where to draw the line. She's not aware of that sort of healthy boundary of like, he is still a real person, you know? We're kind of following off of what we were talking about in Knock Yourself Out, where he is a real ordinary person, you know? Like, yes, he's a musician and he makes art that means a lot to other people, but that does not, and this is also what has been very much in discussion since Chappell Roan's been speaking out about this. Just because you are making music for people to listen to does not mean that you owe them your entirety as a person. You are putting yourself into your music, and you are putting your music into the world for people to have access to, but that is not the same as people getting access to you, the person, whether it's Chappell Roan, whether it's Porter Robinson. Understanding that boundary of like, it's great that you value my art. That's great. So lovely that is helpful for you or significant in your life, but that does not mean that you know me or are entitled to any kind of real relationship with me, right? Pre-chorus is cheerleader, thought she needed me, but I need her. Oh baby, you tell me you're singing. And then the chorus is, it's not fair, because I knew you like the back of my hands. Well, don't you care? I gave you everything. Now I feel you even when you're not there. So most of the chorus, it sounds like, is from the perspective of this obsessed fan, because he says you're singing. Again, from the perspective of the fan. It's not fair. I knew you like the back of my hand. This person feels like she knows Porter really, really well just because she's such a big fan of his work. Don't you care? I gave you everything. And then I feel like that last line is Porter, where he's like, I feel you even when you're not there. Right? I feel that sort of encroachment on my boundaries, on my life, even when I'm not in front of you, even when I'm not at shows and having to deal directly with fans. That presence, the negative aspect of that presence, he's no longer able to get away from. Verse 2 is very interesting. It says, it's kind of sad how it's not your fault you're living in a madhouse. I can't back down. Aren't you tired of blending into the background? She's got hearts in her eyes saying, boy, you better watch the time, because if you're not mine, I'd rather see you burned alive. Okay, we're getting a little intense here. It's interesting that he starts things off with, it's kind of sad how it's not your fault that you're living in a madhouse. He's acknowledging his part in this. He does put a lot of himself into his music. He can't back down, right? He can't stop putting as much into his music as he does, and a lot of Porter's music is very personal, as I would hope a lot of musicians' work is. And that kind of becomes the passageway for people to get like obsessed with and entitled to and into sort of parasocial realms of relationship with artists. Got Hearts in Her Eyes saying, boy, you better watch the time, because if you're not mine, I'd rather see you burned alive. It's just sort of this unhealthy attachment of like entitlement of like like this girl and him are meant to be together and no one else is meant for him, to the point where it becomes very hostile. And finally, the bridge. Somehow, I don't even know what she does now. Well, do I wish her the best, or do I actually miss her? She had hearts in her eyes. She was rooting for me all the time. Her love the type that makes you dedicate your life. Oh, my cheerleader thought she needed me, but I need her. Which is, okay, that's an interesting confession. I don't even know what she does now. So now we are kind of talking about her almost as if she's this ex that has left town and has her own life now. And maybe she did find something else to sort of invest herself in and get engaged with. Or engaged to, perhaps, to borrow the turn of phrase. And now he's maybe sort of questioning himself of like, maybe I wanted that attention. You shouldn't want that attention. That's bad attention. I understand the apprehension of like, that was a really devoted fan. Like they were a loyal, devoted fan. And while it was creepy and weird at times, you don't find loyalty like that everywhere, you know? So he's maybe got this moment of weakness where he's like, she was rooting for me, you know? She supported me. She did it in a weird way. Thought she needed me, but I need her. Is a weird line. Maybe this is this moment of like kind of brutal honesty of like kind of liking the attention, which is a bold thought to open up on, but fair enough, I guess. I wonder how much of this album is gonna be talking about this sort of relationship between Porter and his fans and his audience. I'm curious. We're going to keep moving right on along into track number 3, Russian Roulette. Like, I'm assuming Russian Roulette is probably going to be a metaphor for something. That's usually what these silly little artists do with their metaphors. Personally, I never much cared for artists in the first place. Not really my scene. Let's listen to Russian Roulette. Ooh. Okay. All right. A little bit. All right. A little bit more relaxed. Ooh, weird. Okay. It's you. Okay. Okay. All right. I won't? Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, that's an interesting power dynamic, but all right. Uh-huh. What do you mean? What do you mean? Ooh. All right. Okay. Ooh. All right. I like the I like that. That's a nice touch. All right. All right. All right. It's really interesting how he's kind of going for this like pop rock sound for this album, and between that and the fact that he's been kind of committing to his natural vocals, kind of reminds me of like almost like not a Mariana's Trench, but like an all-time low kind of like heavy pop, but also heavy pop with rock elements kind of sound, like in the sort of all-time low Mariana's Trench 1975 almost realm. Maybe I'm talking out my ass on those specific bands, but I feel like that kind of describes the flavor of what we're listening to so far. Not really my thing. I think this is so far the song that I'm the least enthusiastic about, but I don't want to have any final. I'll save my full thoughts and takes till the end of the song, because Porter's been known to hit us with a surprise or two. What? Is that me? I don't usually read lyrics till after the song, but I'm sorry. Porter, are you talking to me? You talking to me? Am I the funny monkey? Just because I'm doing a YouTube review and I like to make my YouTube reviews entertaining, so I try to make jokes. Like moments where I pick a moment of tension and I stare directly into the camera and talk real close to my microphone to make it seem like I might be angry about something, but I'm not. I'm just being unnecessarily intense about whatever point I'm trying to make. Is that what you're trying to call out here? You talking to me and all the stuff that I'm doing right now? Maybe. Might be talking about someone else. Oh, that was a cool little. All right, you got my attention again. It's the little things that get me back engaged. I was kind of spacing out for a second there, but that little sort of like drop out, come back in was a nice touch. Didn't need to put that in. Could have just kept it going, but he didn't. Nicely done there, Porter. I might continue to space out depending on how the rest of this goes. What are we doing with the bridge? That's the question. Okay. Oh, we're going halftime is what we're doing. Okay. All right, back in full time. Okay. We drop out for this chorus here. Oh. Oh no. Oh. God damn it, Porter. Just when I was ready to just kind of keep moving through this song and then call it a day, you had to throw me at this freaking third verse. This is just a second chorus, or a second bridge, really, when you think about it. Like, composition-wise, it's just a second different bridge. Oh, he's making me feel things. Porter done gone and made me feel things. Ooh. Oh! right. All right, fair enough. Hell yeah. Oh, that's lovely. God damn it, Porter, you've done it again, you mad lad.
The kick drum and bass suggests the song is coming to a close.
That's true.
That's the format
Okay.
we're used to. Cliches
Yeah.
like this are beautiful because they
You're right.
reflect us when we are beautiful.
Yay!
For example, this chord progression. It
Mm-hmm.
only became taboo because it was too powerful. That's why you won't forget it. Don't kill yourself, you idiot.
Aw. Oh, man. I think I understand why Porter said that this is his most fun and most heartbreaking album. I think I get it. And the song that, for the first solid half of the song, I was not grabbing me. And then the second half of the song immediately becomes what might end up being one of my favorite moments of the album. The bridge halftime is nice. It's a classic move. It's a format we're used to, and cliches like that are beautiful. And then into that third verse, god damn. There are certain lyrical and like narrative themes and motifs and tropes that are just my weakness. Like, they just get me right here immediately. And one of the biggest ones is someone sort of repeating as a mantra to themselves that they do want to live. The repeating to themselves that they want to have more and more of those nice little moments that, even if they're small and insignificant in the long run, they make life worth living. And I say that things like that get me because literally as I'm talking about them, I'm feeling the emotions rise up here. That shit just hits me so hard, especially since so much of Nurture was, as far as I'm aware, sort of about Porter, like, kind of working himself through his depression and using music to kind of recover from that. And so to arrive in this album at this song where you can just have a whole verse of saying, I want to see my mom, I want to play my music, I want to lose my phone, I want to play in the snow, kiss my cat, thank my dad, get married, and then just saying, I want to live, I don't want to die. Ooh, that hits hard. Because those are the things that you need to use. You can't count on the long term to be something that convinces you that life is worthwhile. It has to be the little things. It has to be the things that you can just go and do. You can go and give your cat a little kiss or a boop on the snoot. You can call, hopefully you can call your dad. You can play your music. You can make music. You can play in the snow. You can talk to the people that you love, right? And hang out with them and spend time with them. Those are the things that, like, if you have a hard time getting through life, those are the things that can help you get through, and those are the things that can help convince you that you want to keep going. And I'm really glad to see that Porter has found those things. I think the Russian roulette that we're referring to is just the process of going through life and taking the risk on continuing to live. That is the Russian roulette. Because, yeah, sure, you, like, maybe every now and then you get unlucky and you get hit with some harsh times or some bad mental health rears its ugly head. Continuing going also means that you continue the chances of seeing the beauty in life. Let's go through these lyrics. Oh boy. Verse 1. It's me, smiling for the team, as I stare directly into the storm. Trust me, it's a sure thing. Russian roulette, you won't get bored. Best friend, we don't have to pretend one day. I could make you your salary. The saddest thing about my whole machine, she says. And she's right. It depends on me. So some of this is a little easier to parse through than other parts. Smiling for the team as I stare directly into the storm. Like, this is maybe referring to Porter's actual team and sort of the, group of friends and people that he spends time with day to day. And I'm assuming the storm is sort of more his dealing with depression and suicidal thoughts, and just kind of be like, yep, it's there, but I have people that rely on me and I rely on them. Now, the saddest thing about this whole machine. Oh, I see. So this is a reference to Porter's song Sad Machine from his first album. So a theme that ties to the first verse, which is all about the pressures of people depending on Porter for a job, for money, for enjoyment. The whole machine built around him as an artist ultimately depends on him, and this fact can sometimes sadden him. Right. So the fact that there's a lot of pressure surrounding him, like a lot of people depend on his existence as a musician to get them through their life, and that he sees that as sort of this sort of concerning, distressing thing, I suppose. Right, that kind of then ties to I could make you your salary. And then the chorus, then I close my eyes, gamble with my life, trying not to smile. Maybe this time I won't be alright. Maybe this time. So I guess that's just kind of the semi-regular or maybe regular moments that Porter has of admitting maybe things will go to shit. Maybe at some point it will all collapse and it'll all go wrong and he won't know what to do with himself. Maybe this time. But it's not a definite thing, so you might as well keep going, is kind of the take that I'm going for here. Verse 2, Pitchfork reports they're calling me, their words, the big new thing. YouTube review, funny monkey, takes a piss into his own mouth, crazy. Sometimes I do feel like that is what I'm doing. I don't plan on ever doing it literally. That doesn't sound fun or enjoyable to me. And I thought it's strange to sell my face, but let's just make the most of it. Now my hand is drawn. I put the gun against the thing that's stopping me. Interesting. So he's kind of caught in this weird, like, sort of self-driving vehicle right now, where he's getting, like, Pitchfork reviews on his albums, and they're calling him the big new thing. Silly people on the internet are doing album reviews of his stuff. Crazy. Imagine that. And he thinks it's strange to sell my face. It's weird to, like, market this when he's like, maybe he doesn't necessarily feel too strongly about the appeal of his face, and so he doesn't understand, the market value or how to use his face or his sort of himself. Like, he doesn't understand how he can be marketable. But let's just make the most of it. And now my hand is drawn, and I put the gun against the thing that's stopping me, which I guess is himself. So there's this weird, that's a weird tense image where my hand is drawn, I put the gun against the thing that's stopping me. So on one hand, he's holding himself accountable as the main sort of element that sort of holds him back. But he's also holding a gun against himself, which is a concerning image. So there's that. We're still hanging on to that weird tension while we've got all this other stuff going on. And the bridge, a bad guy just died. They're making memes about it. Nothing matters now. Go fuck myself. I already did. Way ahead of you there, bud. My friend lost his head, and what I do about it, and we could laugh about the thoughts that I've been having. Interesting. So this bridge is just kind of taking into account just the absurd nature of the world as we find ourselves in it in 2024 or 2023, I guess is when he would have been making this album. The dark humor that you use to get through the day. Like a bad guy just died and we're making memes about it. Nothing matters now. I already went and fucked myself, so you don't need to tell me to do it. Thank you very much. My friend lost his head. I don't know if they mean that literally. I hope they don't mean that literally. Okay, yeah. More just my friend is having a crisis and I couldn't do anything about it. We can laugh about the thoughts that we've been having. So just trying to like very tentatively approach these issues of like mental health, but also not knowing how to approach them. So the best thing you can do is try and joke about them to try and kind of dance around it and maybe hope that some sort of constructive or healthy conversation comes out of that, which is super, super understandable. And then, of course, we get into verse 3, which is all of the things that Porter is doing to keep himself going through life, which we've already spent some time on that. And then the outro, which really ties everything together really, really nicely, actually, is just that robot voice saying, the kick drum and bass suggests the song is coming to a close. And then we hear a boo, because it's a good song. That's the format we are used to. Cliches like this are beautiful, because they reflect us, and we are beautiful. Yay! Which is a lovely take on cliches. They're cliches for a reason, is because they are popular and they're widely appealing, and they're easy to relate to. Take, for example, this chord progression, which I don't know, what is this chord progression referring to? It's one of the more popular / common chord progressions. It only became taboo, or, you know, it only became considered overused because it was too powerful. It's too good. Like, the reason it's so popular and so common in pop music and rock music and just music in general is because it works really nicely. You can make some good music out of that progression. That's why you won't forget it. And then just end it with, just ends the song with, "Don't kill yourself, you idiot." Which, if a line like that is what gets you through your day, I'm not gonna get on you for it. Maybe, you know, in the future, be a little kinder to yourself in your self-talk. That's something to work on, maybe. But if "don't kill yourself, you idiot" gets you through your day, who am I to stop you? So that was wonderful. I can't believe how quickly I turned around on this song. That was great. Let's keep going. That one took us a while. Track number 4, Perfect Pinterest Garden. Again, it gives me similar vibes to Bo Burnham's White Woman's Instagram. I wonder if we'll be dealing with some similar content matter here. Ooh. Okay. More of the super produced guitar, more of the pop rock. Okay. All right. Also those weird like clipped vocal samples are so like iconically Porter Robinson. It's like a sure thing that you'll hear in his music. It's very fun. Yeah. All right,
it 'cause you got in the way.
That's
I
some-
know you're so much better to you.
That's a nice dirty bass synth you got there. Okay.
And your life in my hands.
Oh. Okay. All right.
If you saw me, a stranger in the streets, could you tell me you love me? Maybe we should both make real friends.
Ooh, I like that guitar line. Okay. Nice. Sure.
Somebody's gotta say the things I'm trying not to say. Somebody's gotta say the things I'm trying not to say. Somebody's gotta say the things I'm trying not to say.
All right. Oh. Whoop. Hang on. Okay. That was short. It was short. All right. Cool. I wasn't too... I think I felt the same way about that one that I felt about the first half of Russian Roulette. Despite the sort of iconic, like, Porter Robinson clip vocals and all those things that he does, it is kind of it's a pop rock song, which is not to say that it's not enjoyable. There just wasn't a whole lot extra going on there for me to really comment on. It was pretty straightforward. Explores the album's recurring theme of Porter's relationship to his fans. Okay, getting back into that. Focusing on the side of fandom that pressures him to be something he's not, or at best, caricature of himself. Okay, getting back into Knock Yourself Out. The song's title draws a clever comparison between the idealized way people represent their lives on social media and the shallow, perfect image of Porter that some fans expect him to live up to. At the same time, it also paints the picture of a normal, boring life that is opposite from what those fans demand from Porter. It highlights how this kind of following is only attached to their idea of the artist and not the actual person, that their interest in him is so determined by one false image versus another. Yeah. Okay, so we're getting back into that. Great, cool. Verse 1, I don't care if you buy it. I just want you to pay. Keep you there in my pocket because you got in the way. I know you so much better, do you understand? I got your name on my sweater and your life in my hands. Okay, so again, I think we're singing from the fan's perspective here, or the perceived fan's perspective. I don't care if you buy it, I just want you to pay. I don't actually care what stuff you buy or what stuff you get. I just want to know that you're spending lots and lots of money on expensive things. It's kind of what I'm reading there. Keep you there in my pocket because you got in the way. So I keep my idea of Porter in my pocket. It's not there all the time, but I pull it out when I need it, because the real Porter was getting in the way. This sort of like less glamorous Porter was being real inconvenient and counter to my expectations. So I'm just keeping them in my pocket for now. I know you so much better. Do you understand? I know you way better than you think I know you, right? Because I listen to your music all the time. So obviously I understand you really well, and I listen to all the interviews that you're on. Something like that. I got your name on my sweater and your life in my hands. So I bought the merch, and you rely on me, the fans, to make your livelihood. I think is kind of the way to go here. Verse 2. And I don't need my fucking money. I need you to pretend, just a little simulation of being a friend. I think we all feel better when you play your game. Somebody's got to say the things I'm trying not to say. So again, it's the fans being like, I can spend however much money I need. I just need for you to pretend like we have some kind of relationship. I'm willing to pay for the VIP tickets or whatever, just as long as I can perceive some kind of relationship beyond fan and artist, right? There's that weird sense of entitlement that I've been talking about so far. Just a little simulation of being a friend. You don't even have to know that you can know that it's not real deep down. Just, something to create the illusion that we have a rapport. I think we all feel better when you play your game, right? We all feel better when you play these weird mind games of having a relationship to your fans and that we're all this big community. Somebody's got to say the things I'm trying not to say. We're trying to say the quiet part out loud, really. And that's the entire chorus. And then verse 3, let's go out. You said I couldn't let my guard down no matter where I was. Let's turn around. I'm so dramatic, it's a consequence of what I've done. Hold on, darling, I know a place where I won't be spotted. A perfect Pinterest garden, I'll get a job, 2 kids, restarted. And if you saw me, a stranger in the streets, could you tell me you love me? Maybe we should both make real friends, which is a strong, powerful line to say. Very, very fun. So maybe, I feel like this is probably from Porter's perspective now, where he can't let his guard down no matter where he is. I don't know how recognizable he is. I don't if you told me to imagine Porter Robinson's face on demand, I wouldn't be able to do it. But that's also because I'm a normal person. Let's turn around. I'm so dramatic. It's a consequence of what I've done. It's just like his life has kind of caused things to be a little bit higher stakes than he would probably hope them to be. And then he's like, hang on, what if we just try to be as boring as possible? If someone that was a fan of me, someone recognized me in the streets being a boring ass human, would you really want to identify yourself as being like, hi person that's just at, Walgreens, I love your work, and talk to you while you're buying, soy milk, right? It's different. So maybe instead of just creating these false, glamorous, idealized versions of the people that we like, maybe you should just go out into the world and meet real people and make real friends. I'm not going to say that I have any of the same issues in my life as Porter seems to. I can identify with having to balance out I've got a pretty cool life. I'm in a band, I do this stuff, I'm a comedian, I'm doing comedy stuff in town. I have creative endeavors that I think are pretty cool and I enjoy doing them. But I'm also sometimes kind of boring. Sometimes I'm just sitting in my room on my computer watching YouTube, or watching a movie or freaking watching Dimension 20 or something, And so not every second of my life am I gonna be whatever glamorous content creator, celebrity, someone in my line of work could be blown up into being, I have my moments where I'm doing stuff that I enjoy doing for other people and I look cool doing it. And there are moments where I do not look cool doing what I'm doing. And that's just kind of what makes a whole person, And sometimes people don't want the real person. They just want the glamour. And you just can't get that. And the more you want that, the more the artists in your life are gonna, try their best to distance themselves from it. Let's keep going. We're into the back half with... Okay, so it's definitely not a different day. I am absolutely capable of just making a normal album reaction video all in one shot. I definitely didn't get through 9 of the 10 tracks, get to the final track and do a whole outro and everything, and then completely forget about one of the songs. I definitely did not just skip over one of the songs. I would never do that. I would never do that. Who do you think I am? Anyway, we're gonna listen to Year of the Cup. Now, I don't know how this happened, but it's the next day, and I realized a little too late yesterday that I had done tracks 1 through 4, and then after Perfect Pinterest Garden, I was like, all right, great, we're into the back half of the album, right on to Kitsune Maison. No, we gotta... It's time to listen to Year of the Cup. Obviously, I'm gonna edit this together so that it's in the right order, but I'm just gonna be transparent. That's kind of what frickin' happened. So I'm listening to Year of the Cup, not necessarily in the context of listening to the whole thing through in one shot. So if that ruins your freaking experience of this album reaction, I'm sorry. I try my best, and sometimes mistakes happen. Let's find out what the freaking Year of the Cup was all about. Oh, all right. Weird, very produced acoustic guitar. All right.
None of my goddamn business what's in the cup, but it's a beautiful thing, man.
Okay.
But
Oh, is it?
it's not a beautiful thing because nobody knows what's
Oh.
in the cup. That's
Nobody
the whole
knows
thing.
what's in the
Unless
cup?
you come up and
Okay,
drink what's in my
what-
cup, then how can you say it's
Right,
a beautiful
okay.
thing? Also,
Right.
when people drink alcohol, they react.
Uh-huh.
So whatever
What do you
happens in
mean?
my cup, the only reaction I did was got
Right.
more popular, more successful.
Right.
Did a lot
Right.
more things than
Yep.
I've ever done. Picked up a guitar,
Uh-huh.
learned how to play it, learned how to put on the auto tunes and
Sure.
stretch my voice. I probably
Absolutely.
picked that back up.
Okay. Ooh. Okay, we're in 3. This is nice. All right.
I swore not to care, but on that night I couldn't help it. I took
Okay.
out all of my shame on a random guy who probably liked me, and that
Oh,
night,
no.
it was the obvious first time you were disappointed. I spewed out that irresponsible mantra. I'm sorry I'm like this.
What the hell was in
Okay.
the cup?
Ooh,
Whatever
I
you
like-
drink, it must be
Ooh.
a success potion.
That piano is pretty.
You and whatever was in my cup sucked. I was gonna keep drinking.
Oh, no. Okay. All right. Thank you, Lil Wayne. Thank you.
Something's in the
This is strange because this is not, like, it doesn't say featuring Lil Wayne. This is just, Porter just sampled, I think, an interview with Lil Wayne and then put it in the song. Like, this isn't like Lil Wayne didn't show up in the studio for Porter. This is just Porter using a soundbite from a Lil Wayne interview and putting it into his song. The world of sampling, personally, I find strange. Not in a bad way. I just find it fascinating that you can just take like a piece of another media that's probably like copyrighted and just put it on in your own thing and nobody bats an eye. Like I make a whole like YouTube video, you know, doing my thing and listening to music and can't make money off of it. But you can put a whole bit of just a interview into your music and still make money off of that. Like, I get that it's like transformative. I get that. And I try to, obviously, every time I put one of these on YouTube, I try to argue that this is not just me sitting here and playing the album. It's fascinating. It's something that I like to mentally chew on, is whenever I encounter things like this in music. I find it fascinating and a little confusing.
help me was what I meant to say as I gnashed my teeth
Damn.
right in front of you.
Okay. Jeez.
Yeah, I'm kind of.
We're getting real honest in this part. Right.
Ain't nothing in the cup right now but some wine. I drink Dolce. That's probably
Right.
the only thing in the cup tirelessly.
I asked you if I never change, would you love me? Expecting the negative, clever, turning the question around to me was obvious. The answer was obvious. The answer was obvious.
Oh, okay,
What's in the cup?
we're reversing.
Is it really none of my goddamn business?
Is it? Doesn't seem like we have an answer. That was really interesting. There was a lot going on in that. Like, musically didn't grab me a whole lot, but like, again, chewing on some really interesting stuff going on in the words there. Inspired by an interview with Lil Wayne where he says that the contents of his cup is a magic potion. The song reflects on how our flaws make us who we are, and far from perfect actions can have positive results. Porter seems to address a family member or close friend throughout the album who sees him lash out and act irresponsibly before even attacking them directly. In the end, Porter recognizes that they still choose to love him despite his flaws and failures. Okay, so we are getting much more introspective in this particular one. We're still dealing a little bit with the sort of public image kind of stuff, but I'm curious as to kind of what function this Lil Wayne interview kind of plays in here. There's a big annotation at the first bit. First part is from an interview with Lil Wayne. He sometimes is criticized for his substance abuse, and in the interview, he likens it to a success potion that's contributed to his success. Similarly, Porter reflects on his own flaws in this song and how they might have affected his career and life. Sometimes growth and good things come from our imperfections. We've been talking about these unrealistic sort of imaginings of Porter Robinson as a character in this album, kind of making him not seem too perfect, but also, like, up until this point, his real self has been very de-glamorized, made to seem like kind of a boring guy, maybe a bit of a jerk. And in this, he's taking a bit more of a charitable angle on himself. He's putting in some effort to be self-forgiving, almost to a fault, I wonder. These sections of this interview where we got Lil Wayne, sort of attributing some of his success to his addiction problems and his substance abuse, which on one hand, I'm not going to say there's not some truth to it, because his experiences with that, I am fairly certain, not being a big Lil Wayne listener myself, those experiences did go into his art and made him as successful of an artist as he is, and caused people to connect with his work. This thing of like, it's none of my goddamn business what's in the cup, but it's a beautiful thing, is a fascinating sort of thing to start and end on, right? Like, we start with, it's none of my goddamn business what's in the cup, but it's a beautiful thing, man. And then the final bit is, what's in the cup? Is it really none of my goddamn business? Almost this moment of like questioning the role of accountability, because on one hand, it's unhealthy to assume that like Porter Robinson is this perfect, amazing artist that can do no wrong. But also, just because your flaws have made your art better does not negate the effects that those flaws have had in your personal life, right? Just because you can say, well, if I had never had these problems, I never would have been able to make this album or this song. That doesn't justify the harm that may have been caused by those imperfections. Right. Verse 1 says, I swore not to care, but on that night I couldn't help it. I took out all of my shame on a random guy who probably liked me. And that night it was the obvious first time you were disappointed. You being this person that Porter is close to. I spewed out that irresponsible mantra, I'm sorry I'm like this. And I'm glad that he does acknowledge it as an irresponsible mantra. This very like defeatist thing of like, I'm sorry that this is just in my nature to make these mistakes. He's kind of caught in this thing of like acknowledging his mistakes, but also acknowledging that he had an unhealthy relationship with his mistakes. Of like, don't, like, if you're gonna apologize, don't say it like that. If you're gonna apologize for your mistake, don't say I'm sorry I'm like this, because that's kind of shunting some of the accountability off of yourself. You're moving the blame to whatever factors have made you this way, right? Like, it's one thing to be like, I'm sorry for what I did, and then actually working on it. Whereas, I'm sorry I'm like this is just saying I'm sorry, but kind of communicating that you don't have any plans on changing, right? You just kind of assume that the reason you did what you did is entirely inexorable and permanent, and there's nothing you can do about that, which is, as he mentions, it's irresponsible. Verse 3 is also very interesting. I can't go to sleep because my mind keeps ringing with times that I laid out everything wrong with me up on stage. It's embarrassing. Fuck you, you don't deserve me. The bus went totally silent, and help me was what I meant to say as I gnashed my teeth right in front of you. Jeez. So yeah, he's got this complicated relationship with sort of the imperfect parts of him as a person, and these habits that he sometimes defaults into when he doesn't really know what to do in a situation. And while, those are things that have gone into his work and that he has ended up sort of letting out on stage for a paycheck, those things also come from real situations where he has genuinely hurt people and had the choice to acknowledge that he needs help and needs to change, but instead makes the harmful decision that just ends up in a song. That's all interspersed with these clips of Lil Wayne and his sort of relationship with the cup, and Porter is kind of paralleling Lil Wayne's cup with all of Porter's sort of imperfections and kind of drawing a line between the two, which is really, really a really smart like songwriting device. Like that was really smart of him to kind of like have those two sides of like sort of the metaphor of the cup that is also, even in the interview, Lil Wayne is using it as a figure of speech for something else, and then using that figure of speech to expound on it. That's really, really neat. That's a lot to chew on. I'll end it by looking at verse 4, which is, I asked you if I never changed, would you love me? Expecting the negative, expecting the answer no. Which I would say is at a certain point the correct answer. If you're in a relationship with someone and they don't seem to have any intent to work on their flaws, at least for their sake, on one hand, you don't want to be in a relationship just to try to make someone better. The whole like I can fix them thing is a bad road to go down. But it is a thing of like you want to be in a relationship with someone that is going to hold themselves accountable and actually work on their flaws. And so from there it goes. Clever, turning the question around to me was obvious. I hate this version of me that was safe and sanitized thoroughly. You think you'll let people down and divine some perfect apology. Which honestly, that last verse reminds me of the final scene in BoJack Horseman between him and Alison Brie's character, whose name escapes me at the moment. But they're just sitting on the roof, and like so much has happened between them, and so many things that they're maybe not necessarily ready to forgive each other for, or like really approach. But there's just this moment of like sitting in the complicated nature of this relationship, and in the complex like web of their past choices, acknowledging that there's no such thing as a perfect apology. Like, apology is not going to be the thing that solves the problems. It helps to a certain extent, but it's not going to be the solution in itself. And I like that the song ends on a question. The sort of "what's in the cup, is it really none of my goddamn business" is not answered, implying that there's sort of more work to be done, more stuff to be figured out, both in this relationship and also between like Porter and the perceived version of him. A lot to look at there. It's a good thing that I just took this entire time out of my other afternoon to sit down and listen to this. But yeah, that's what I've got. And now we're gonna switch back to past Connor, who is now gonna say, after having listened to Perfect Pinter's Garden, that it's now time to move on to Kitsune Maison Freestyle. So enjoy that. Thanks for watching. See ya in the past.
Let's keep going. We're into the back half
With track 6, Kitsune Maison Freestyle. Kitsune Maison. There's a store. Oh, interesting. Okay, because there's a clothing store in downtown Vancouver called Maison Kitsune that I believe also has had a location in LA that I know about because it was part of the food tour that I do as my day job. So that's really funny to find that on just a random Porter Robinson track. That's funny. Okay, well, let's hear about this freestyle, I guess. Ooh, that's crunchy. Okay, less crunchy. All right. Ooh, a little weird there. All right. It's a little off kilter. I like it. Yeah. Okay. All right. Sure. Oh, are we robbing this store? Oh, why? Nice. Okay. Right. This is much more of a like nurture-esque track on this album. Like you got the electronic elements to it, obviously, but like the sort of acoustic guitar in there, and there might be some piano going on there as well. It's very, very much more kind of the sound that he had in his last album. I like it. It's a chiller vibe, but I'm into it. That verse reminded me of one of the tracks from the 100 Gex album, but I can't remember which one. If you can think of which 100 Gex album I'm talking about, that like follows a very, very, it was the like do a song with your mother, like that kind of meter choice, Let me know, because I don't want to look quite at the moment.
I always feel like I just found the thing that's haunting me.
Oh, we're just talking.
Felt
Yeah.
Like, you know, if I grow out my eyelashes, or if I get a haircut,
Okay.
if I get Estee
Sure.
Lauder night serum or whatever, if I get that new outfit, like,
Sure.
I got my like teeth fixed. I regret it so
Yeah.
much, man. Like,
Oh.
I can't get the teeth that my mom gave me back in my mouth.
Aw. Whoa.
Yeah, for 3 weeks, that's gonna be it.
Whoa.
Stupid.
Nah, I get it. It's not stupid. Ooh. All right. Back into this.
Trying not to feel, trying not to feel bad.
Nice. That was cute. I liked that one. Okay. Good vibes. Good vibes. Very nice. A lot to look at there. I think I was picking up on a couple of running themes there. I think we're still running down the thread of talking about Porter's relationship with his fans. This does feel like a sort of different angle on it. The song develops Porter's new style. I was just saying that this feels like his older style, and the reaction it may provoke to fans when they discover it, and also the way dressing your way makes you feel better. Oh, so like fashion style. Gotcha. That makes sense. Okay, I don't know what Porter's new clothing style is. I mean, I'm not seeing anything particularly outrageous about this particular style. I don't know. Let's take a look at just kind of learning how to feel yourself in your own skin. Let's look at verse 2 is kind of where we get into the meat of certain things. Verse 2, all of y'all remind me of each other. I don't even know where I'm at. LM, undercover, I spend my money, then I get it all back. I might do a song with your mother. I think she want to see me on the track. Ugly pretty boy on the cover. Make a face, take a photo, that's that. And then the pre-chorus, your girl was staring at my bag, wouldn't look good on her, so sad. Been on a diet, can't eat that. Yeah, everybody is just trying to look good, trying not to feel bad. And then the chorus is, didn't you see this coming? Everything you thought you wanted was made out of nothing. It's been a long time coming. Every cliche is true. I just want to have this moment with you. So I feel it is just about that struggle of like trying to feel good in your own skin and relying on things like you know, haircuts and new outfits and night serums to make you feel better about yourself, when those things are only ever gonna like highlight what you want to see in yourself, and you can see those things in yourself long before you spend any money on it. That's actually a very, very old sort of theme to look on, is just kind of the way that capitalism takes advantage of our insecurities, is by offering these like temporary material remedies to our insecurities and our self-esteem, is just being like, you may not like how you look as a person, but at least you can wear fancy expensive clothes on top of your disgusting body. Kind of the message that's given. Or you can put this cream on your face and it'll clear out your pores or something, so that you can finally feel confidence in yourself. Yeah, you end up just spending a whole lot of money on stuff that won't actually help you like yourself a whole lot more. I guess it helps to kind of like look in the mirror in your clothing and feel comfortable in what you wear. And in a certain way, like dressing in a way that works for you can feel good, especially when it's, you know, if you're like dressing in a way that like particularly like affirms you in your gender, then fantastic, you go do that. I guess it's the sort of thing of like, if you can't grow your own self-image, store-bought is fine for now. I think that's probably the most wholesome note to conclude with this track. That was a weird one. I don't know how I feel about that one. Track 7, Easier to Love You. Should it be easier? Are we trying to make it easier in a bad way, or is it good that it's easier to love this person? I'm not sure. Let's find out. Ooh, a slow jam. Okay. Slow indie rock jam. This is the least electronic song on the album so far. At least as far as I can tell. Okay.
Comparing yourself to the person you were at age 17. I put my suit on and I tied my tie. If you could only see yourself like me, wouldn't it hurt much less when you were lonely? If you could only see.
Ooh, interesting chord progression there. Okay, so we've got our chorus, which is very interesting. We've got this easier, like, love you if you could only see yourself like me. So now the question is, are there two different people involved in the narrative of this song? Or is it a case of Porter looking at himself in the mirror and saying, it would be so much easier to love myself if I could just see myself accurately? I know we usually wait to look at the lyrics, but that's the immediate thought that we have. We will maybe find out later on. Maybe he'll clarify it in a later verse. But I wonder if that's more the case, is that this is a self-reflective thing.
I found a letter, dear future me.
Okay.
Promise I'll take care of the person, we'll both be eventually.
There's some weird, I think it's electric guitar, but it sounds almost like piano. It's like kind of off tune in the back. It's very strange, but I kind of like it because it does make this sort of, kind of injects a little bit of extra anxiety into it, a little bit of tension in there.
If you could only see yourself like me.
Wait, I thought for a second that I might have heard those affected vocals that I was talking about earlier in the harmonies there. The ones that I was talking about might be sort of an analog for his insecurities, which would make sense in this song. I'm not curious if I'm not certain that that's what I heard, but I think I heard that, which would fit really well into that one theory about the song.
If you could only see yourself like me.
Ooh, okay, all right. There's that electronic bit. Cool. As we go big, that's very cool. I like that a lot. Okay, there's a lot going on there, and I think I got a little glimpse of the about section, and it confirmed what I think I was talking about before. So it says, the song plays with a common theme in love songs, where the lover wishes the loved could see themselves as they see them, But instead of the song being about someone else, as I thought it might have been, it's about Porter's younger and current self. The song is about not being too hard on yourself and about how Porter should see himself as he did when he was younger and more hopeful. A pitched up background vocal is present throughout the song as well, which was commonly featured on the previous Porter Robinson project, Nurture, and also he uses it a lot in I think it was called Sad Machine or Goodbye to a World. I can't remember which one was the name of the album, but his first album. Background vocal could be used to represent Porter from the Nurture time frame or possibly before. Yeah. I knew I heard it. I knew it. Okay, so we are dealing with self-forgiveness, a little bit of self-forgiveness here, and allowing yourself to have some perspective on your own growth. So verse 1, with all that in mind, there you were. You're going to make a scene comparing yourself to the person you were at age 17. I put my suit on and I tied my tie. I looked like someone I don't recognize, which is fair. Yeah, I think, if 17-year-old Connor were to meet current Connor, I'm practically a different person. Like, a lot of things about me very, very, very similar in the way I carry myself, but a lot has obviously changed, as it would in 10, 11 years. So I don't think that that's something that would necessarily make a scene, comparing yourself to who you were at a younger age. And of course you look like someone you don't recognize, because you're gonna be a different person for a large part. The chorus is, it would be so much easier to love you if you could only see yourself like me, and wouldn't it hurt much less when you were lonely if you could only see yourself like me. And I relate to this quite a bit. When I was 17, so still in high school, I think I was for the large part, like, I had a group of friends and people that I'm still friends with and do streams with now to this day. It was like Janet and Kim, who hang out with me on my live stream, have known me since high school. They knew the 17-year-old Connor, and they've stuck around. Even though I did have that solid group of people, there were other, like, sort of friend groups where I very much felt lonely. I had that feeling of being more tolerated than looked forward to or welcomed or invited, really. And I didn't feel like I, was doing a whole lot with my life. I was only in high school, of course, but I think if 17-year-old me met me and also got really cool and chill about certain other elements of my life and found out about all of the stuff that I do now, I think they'd be pretty stoked. I have that high school group that is still solid, and I still feel very much loved and welcomed there. But I also have this whole other group of people that I've met, since high school that, like, I feel like an integral part of, like, a group, I have my people, I have my circle, and I do cool artsy stuff, and I make stuff that sometimes gets seen by, like, a few thousand people. That's crazy, and I think 17-year-old me would be pretty stoked by that. And I think that is a good thing to it's a good thought exercise to kind of remind yourself to do when you're feeling down on yourself. And I think that's really the point to take from here. I think that's really the main thing to acknowledge here. We're going to keep moving. Track number 8, Mona Lisa. I never really understood the deal behind Mona Lisa. Obviously, it's an impressive painting, but I get why it's so mind-blowingly captivating. It's a nice painting, but I don't understand why it's such an object of inspiration. That's just my take. I'm not the guy. I don't follow a whole lot of the hype on classical art. Oh, this is also featuring the group Frost Children, who I've never heard of. But let's see what their role in this is. Ooh. Ooh. Interesting. Ooh. Okay. Ooh. Oh, very cool. Kind of industrial going on here. I like it.
I like the way you look around me when no one's there. Like you just
Nice.
don't care. I like
Ooh, the scream. Okay, that's a choice.
when everyone's there. I just don't care.
Okay.
Delicate is all you are. You're all I wanna see.
Okay. Ooh. We came in on a later beat there. I like that.
Just a lifestyle,
Aw.
I'll wait for you.
Ooh, I love that delay. Okay. Ooh. Okay. Nice. There we go. Very cool. Ooh, oh, flipping out there. Very cool. Interesting. Oh, okay. They just palindromized the word "you." Like I see in the lyrics, it's "you" and then "you" backwards, which I guess they just sort of like took the same take of him singing "you" and then just like reversed it and attached it onto the end. That's really, really cool.
'Cause I remember everything to you.
All right, we're building.
Am I just one more face to the door?
Okay.
I'm taking you home.
Ooh,
Lay blood on my face.
ooh, that hits hard.
Taking you home.
Ooh.
Fucking face to the door.
Okay.
Mona Lisa, darling, you're still life, darling. Any minute I'll wait for you.
Cute. Cute. That one also sounded a lot like a 100 Gex song. Like you had that like heavy electronic element, but with the like sort of heavy, like sort of hard rock thing that they were doing in 10,000 Gex. That was lovely. Good job, Frost Children. Let's see what we're doing here. Porter uses the Mona Lisa painting as a metaphor for being surrounded by fans, like how the actual Mona Lisa painting is surrounded by people in the museum, capital M. In the third verse, sang by Angel Frost from duo band Frost Children, okay, it's sung in the perspective of an obsessed fan who wants to take Porter home, but gets stopped, presumably by guards. I see. So we're doing more creepy parasocial fan shit is what we're doing here. So let's, with that all said, take a look here. Verse 1, sung by Porter. I like the way you look around me when no one's there. Like you just don't care. I love the way you're not insulted when everyone stares. I just don't care. Right, so Porter is singing to Mona Lisa, and he's just like, I love the fact that you can just handle the attention that you get, you know? It's just attention all damn day, and you just sit there, you got that relaxed little smirk on your face that everyone's been trying to figure out what's going on there. It's great. And then the pre-chorus from Lulu Frost is delicate, is all you are, you're all I want to see. And then into the chorus, Mona Lisa, darling, you're a still life starlet. Any minute, I'll wait for you. And at least I saw it, Mona Lisa, darling. Any minute, I'll wait for you. So I guess Porter Robinson just likes looking at the Mona Lisa, which is fair. It's a nice painting. It looks good. And the fact that she's just this like still life starlet, just this sort of iconic woman that just sits there and as a painting soaks up all this attention. That's fantastic. Then we switch perspectives, we switch camera angles to Angel Frost's character, who goes, I like the way you do your makeup. It's just so sweet. I know you do it for me. And everybody else surrounds you, but you never leave. I know you wait for me. Which is interesting. So we've got this obsessed fan that is really only zeroing in on Porter, who is admiring Mona Lisa, but Porter himself is being admired by this fan. And then Lulu goes in for the pre-chorus, I assume also from the fan's perspective. All in all, you're all I want. I want what's underneath that. So again, just kind of very much obsessed. Bridge, Porter Robinson from Porter is, if anything is anything, you're everything to me. Because I remember everything. Do you remember me? We've got Porter idolizing Mona Lisa, which I would say is not the worst thing. Because it's a painting, not a real person. You know, you don't have the same weird interpersonal complications that you get when you idolize a painting as you do when you idolize a real living person or even a dead person. From that, we get into the final verse, or I would consider just the continuation of the bridge, which is both Angel and Porter. Am I just one more face through the door? What's it all for? I'm taking you home. Too late, blood on my face. What can I say? I'm taking you home. One more face through the door. What's it all for? I'm taking you home. Too late, blood on my face. One more, and then one more fucking face through the door. So that is the bridge where Angel is making their move, but gets stopped by security and moved out. Meanwhile, Porter can just stand there and admire Mona Lisa. Maybe you just gotta let Porter just sit there by himself and admire a painting that he likes. It's really interesting how much of this album is dedicated to like fan-artist interactions and dynamics. Like you can have like a couple of songs in there, maybe like Kitsune Maison and Easier to Love You, that kind of stray away from that. But so much of this album has been like laser focused on the like parasocial relationship stuff. I don't mind it. I love me a good thematically cohesive album. It's a challenge, and I like it when people pull it off. Let's go into track 9. Is there really no happiness? I think there is. I'm pretty sure. I would say that there is. You just got to figure out how you feel it, because no one really knows how other people feel feelings. You just kind of gotta feel them and figure out what those feelings mean to you, and just kind of associate them and be like, this is how I'm feeling. It's good. Can I call this happiness? Sure. Okay. And then just carry on from there. But I think there is happiness. But we'll find out why Porter asks the question here. Okay. All right. Oh. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. A very classic Porter Robinson sound here. This is a Porter Robinson capital S song. This is one of the Porter Robinson songs of all time.
I remember the family PC. There was
So do I.
in the hallways, there was
All right.
blood on my teeth.
Okay.
Growing blind to the butterflies around me, knowing I'd remember it accurately.
All right. Okay. Where are we going from here?
And I want it to be wrong when it's over and
Ooh.
done.
Okay.
Is there any
All right.
happiness without this feeling? Give me
What feeling?
all you love. Is there really no happiness without you?
Oh. Okay.
I've been trying to change, but I don't know how to change you.
Whoa. Okay.
And I want it to be wrong when it's over and
Ah, with the dropout again. Ah, I love it.
this feeling.
You know, Porter, some
What?
people die of nostalgia.
Do they?
So you better look out.
Okay.
Just kidding.
Wow. Okay. Good one. Nice. Lovely. Oh, that was a fun jam. Pretty straightforward for the most part. I love those drop out and then come back in hard moments. It's one of my favorite things to do. I have a feeling this one's about nostalgia, which is a fun thing to write songs about. Always a big fan of nostalgia songs. First one, I remember the family PC. There was snow in the hallways, there was blood on my teeth, growing blind to the butterflies around me. Knowing I'd remember it accurately, like a joke I swear that I wrote. I know I'm not alone in wondering, the vertigo of trying to get close to who I was before remembering. Okay, so we're going back to childhood. We've got the family PC. Maybe you got the big one with the big gray box monitor that's running like Windows 2000 on it. Maybe I'm projecting here. Blood on your teeth. You're outside. You're falling down in the snow. You're getting roughed up, but you're having a childhood. Growing blind to the butterflies around you. Sort of not really taking account of the ephemerality of what childhood is really like and how temporary it really is. Knowing I'd remember it accurately. You just sort of tell yourself that you remember what it was like. Like that joke that you swear that you wrote. Maybe you know it by hand, but maybe you know it off the top of your head, but hard to say if you actually wrote the joke yourself. I know I'm not alone in wondering the vertigo of trying to get close to who I was before remembering. So just trying to like get back to the core of who you were before you started getting nostalgic. There's that weird window of your life where you start thinking about the good old days, you know, or thinking about the past chapters in your life. And there's that sort of what you often think of as like this pure version of you that's not thinking about who you used to be and having that get in the way of who you are right now. You're just you in the moment and trying to get back to that. And then the chorus, and I want it to be wrong when it's over and done. Is there really no happiness without this feeling? Give me a drug, bottle your love. Is there really no happiness without you near me? It's so... And then he kind of leaves that off because I don't know if he has a word for what it is. Or maybe the word is nostalgic. The message of it is the word that he's not saying, kind of deal. And he wants it to be an inaccurate picture, because it's probably the picture that he has, as is the nature of nostalgia, is everything's going to be a little bit better, a little bit nicer than it actually was. Like, are you really able to feel good without being able to remember the good times, right? Is it possible to, like, preserve this feeling of nostalgia and preserve this good feeling that you're trying to get back? Or do you just have to get comfortable with the fact that things end? Verse 2, and then we'll keep moving. Making love to the memory, you'd think I'd been chasing the dragon. You've been watching me weep, saying some things are better left remembered. How's that help me? Well, maybe it's my fault, because I'm so nostalgic. The sum of my habits had you sharing my accent. And you're just like me. I feel like I trained you. I've been trying to change, but I don't know how to change you. Interesting. So we're getting into some weird interpersonal stuff going on here. Oh, okay. So according to the annotation, like, Porter's referring to his fans again, as the second person. So the sum of my habits, the sum of my nostalgic habits and wanting to go back to a better time, ended up passing on that attitude to his fans. And he feels like he's trained them to also wish for better times. And he's trying to get better and get himself out of that, but he doesn't know how to tell us to get out of that. He doesn't know how to help us get out of our nostalgic urges, right? It's a complicated thing for a lot of artists when you make art in a certain time of your life where you're in a certain headspace, in a certain mindset, and then as you grow and get older, you realize that you've moved on from that attitude, but your fans haven't necessarily moved on with you because they're still listening to that stuff and they still relate to it. The effort of trying to help your fans grow with you, and it's always going to be a delayed effect. That's a complicated thing there, but very, very cool. I like that perspective on it. I'm listening to the musical choices and the electronic element is very in your face, but he's writing these very, very, he's a very honest songwriter, which is one of the things that I admire about Porter. Is he very much, as much as he is willing to, very much wears his heart on his sleeve in his music, at least as of late. Let's keep going to the final track, Everything to Me. Let's find out what's everything to Porter. Okay. Ooh, another slow jam to round things off. Okay. All right. Ooh, that was weird. Okay. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. This is a someone meaningful died song, isn't it? I got a feeling this is a someone meaningful to Porter died kind of song. And the son of a bitch left it for the end of the album as a meaningful tribute, just to cap everything off. It's all dedicated to whoever this person is. Oh boy, okay. All right. Strap in. Oh, nice. Applause. That's interesting. Okay. Maybe? Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe this isn't a death song. So much of this album has been about Porter's relationship to his audience. And there's a chance that this is about that too. But maybe he keeps recontextualizing his relationship to his fans and other relational sort of analogs. So we'll wonder if that's what he's doing here.
This seems like it's everything to me.
Ooh. Little guitar solo. Lovely. Okay. Lovely.
If this is goodbye, if
Okay.
I won't see you again, waiting on a corner with your phone in hand. If irony's a virtue,
That guitar sounds like a guitar in a room. I like it.
like a plushie, I'll be one of your things. I shouldn't say I love you, I don't know your name.
I think I was right.
I'll just say it anyway, 'cause it feels the same when it's you and me. This seems like it's everything to me.
Oh, and we're fading out. Wow. And that's that. Okay, so I think I was right, and the about section here is confirming it for me. On the final track of the album, Porter brilliantly lets everyone know how he really feels. After exposing his insecurities, anxieties, and often complicated feelings towards being famous throughout the album, he leaves a final message to his fans, saying they're everything to him. So we're putting on a rather affectionate cap on this whole foray into Porter's relationship with his fans. It's really, really quite touching, actually. I guess he's kind of looking back here, especially in verse 1. It says, strobe lights, heart signs, then it's over. It's over. For half my long life, you were with me. It went quickly. Strobe lights, heart signs, I'm assuming referring to like the shows and things, and then it's over. And he's been doing this shit for half his life, and it's been a quick, I don't know how old he is, but I'm assuming like probably no more than 20 years. And then the chorus is, it's you and me and the air in between, all of me and all of you, nothing else in the room. This seems like it's everything to me. So you and me, so me, but also the collective, Porter's fans and audience, and Porter, and the air in between, which I think is referring to the music itself. That's all it's ever. That's kind of the third player in this relationship. Is there's us, there's Porter, and then there's the music in between. That's kind of like we interact with the music, and Porter gives it to us. We don't interact directly with Porter for the most part, but the music has been this sort of proxy through which Porter and us can interact, and nothing else in the room. Verse 2, saw me fondly, you don't know me, but you know me, which is again this like complicated thing of like we don't know Porter. Most of us, I assume, don't know Porter as a person, but We know some things about him because of what he puts into his music. He like is an artist that very much puts a lot of himself and what he feels and what he's going through into his music, so that if we sit down and spend freaking 3 hours listening to his music and reading his lyrics and piecing together what it means, we can learn some things about Porter and what he's been through and how he deals with things. But we don't know him personally, and it's important to make that distinction. And then he says, I guard my soft mind because I have to, didn't want to. It's unfortunate that he has to kind of be guarded in this relationship, because I'm not assuming, but it's possible that he's had a number of uncomfortable or negative interactions with fans. He shouldn't have to like guard himself as much as he might do, but he has to. And then the bridge. If this is goodbye, if I won't see you again waiting on a corner with your phone in hand, if irony is a virtue, maybe I should be king. Crush me like a plushie, I'll be one of your things, and maybe I'm addicted to the look in your eyes. It's hard to say you've had enough when you get this high. I shouldn't say I love you, I don't know your name, but I just say it anyway, because it feels the same. So he's just kind of like, he's concluding the album. He's putting a pin on it. If this is goodbye, then I can say I love you. You know, he says it feels like love, even though I don't know you. Trying his best to walk the line between expressing what his fans mean to him, but also maintaining that healthy relationship with us. To say I shouldn't say I love you because I don't know your name, but I just say it anyway because it feels the same, I think plays both sides of that well, because he wants to express that he honestly loves the fact that he like has us, this audience, which as someone with an audience, I get it. I don't want to say I love you guys because I don't know you. I don't know who the frick you guys are. Maybe I know some of you. Because my friends watch some of my stuff. But for a large part, for a lot of these album reaction videos that tend to do more numbers, I don't know most of you. But I'm glad you're here, and I appreciate you being here. It's hard to say you've had enough when you get this high, right? He doesn't really want to quit because he's just been running on the excitement of all this and the pleasure of it and the just chemical rush that he's gotten from making music. And so in some cases he says, crush me like a plushie, I'll be one of your things. You know, he can't really, there's only so much he can control, right? He'll be the silly, you know, cartoon inflatable thing that you see on the album cover. That's something that he can only get away from so much. And then he finishes with the chorus, and then that's the end of the album. That is the end of Smile. Which, it did make me smile. It very much made me smile. This was a nice, like, solid, compact album about parasocial musician relationships. It was really, really well done, really well focused, got into a couple of other things, but that's mainly what it was about, and I really admire himself. I really admire Porter for putting it together, and I hope you liked it too. If you have your own thoughts on this music, I would love to hear them. If you liked this video, you can click the like button right down there. It'd be great. You can leave your thoughts as well as any suggestions for other albums for me to listen to in the comments. I read all of them. I don't respond to all of them, but I do read all of them. If you haven't subscribed, I do a lot of this. I do a lot of gaming. I do a lot of silly stuff with my friends and some audio theater. If any or all of that intrigues you or interests you, I would love it if you subscribed. If you want to support the channel in a monetary fashion, you can head to my Fourth Wall site You can buy merch, which I just recently released some new merch celebrating the 10th anniversary of the channel. Check that out. If you want to become a member, I actually have a deal where if you become a $10 subscription member, you get a code. I believe it's 10 lanky years. It only works if you get the membership. If you use the code 10 lanky years in the shop, you get a free phone case that says 10 tall lanky years. Yeah, if you do that, then you'll end up, if you get the $10 thing, then I will verbally shout you out, and you'll also see your name at the end of this video and future videos if you continue to be a monthly subscriber. But yeah, other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.